Hello and welcome to the programme which looks at the Holy Land. I am Paul Calvert. Jeremiah 31 verse 8 from the New King James Bible says this, "Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the ends of the earth, among them the blind and the lame, the women with child, and the one who labours with child together. A great throng shall return there." I'm here in Ashdod with Colin and Rosie Ross, and we're in a special house, part of Ebenezer Operation Exodus. Now, Colin, what is the house used for here?
The house is a place of welcome. A place of welcome specifically for new Olim, new immigrants to Israel, most of whom have just arrived. They come here straight from the airport.
Wow.
They usually have to endure a couple of hours of document filling and getting given SIM cards for their phones and this, that, and the other that they do at the airport in the Department of Absorption. I think it's the Department of Absorption that they deal with at the airport. And then they get put in a taxi, and it takes about, it depends on the time of day, but it takes about 40 minutes. Sometimes the taxi drivers are saying, "Where are you? Where are you?" In Hebrew, of course. And we say, "I'll come out." And there they are. And so we welcome them into their first home in Israel.
Quite a scary time, I guess, in some ways, leaving everything that you know behind and coming to another country.
Hugely scary. Just scares me to think of it, especially with me at the door welcoming them. No, it's we need to remind ourselves of the experience it was for us when we were coming here for the first time and coming to Israel for the first time and going somewhere. And okay, we knew the place that we were going to. We'd been there before, but still, it was whoa, this is kind of big. The place we were, they asked us to fill in a kind of just like a little booking form, arrival form. And one of the things on the form was home address. And I thought, well, this is it. Oh, heck. So that was fine. But that was a scary experience in itself. This is my address. I have no other.
Yes, our first two Olim were from the Ukraine. And it was so encouraging. Just a few days ago, I had a WhatsApp message from them wishing us a happy new year and saying how much it had meant to them to be welcomed at the house at Ashdod. So that was like a confirmation that we're going in the right sort of direction.
So they came here and now they're settled in their own life?
They're getting settled, yes. They're doing Hebrew lessons, they have jobs, and their little daughter is settled in kindergarten.
When was this house opened here?
We first moved in a year ago this week.
Wow.
On the 1st of October. And we opened for New Olim on the 1st of January. So we've been open 9 months.
Wow. And how long do new immigrants stay here for?
Typically, we give them 3 weeks. Apparently, according to the Jewish Agency, if you agree for longer than 3 weeks, they tend to like it so much that they don't want to leave. So giving them 3 weeks, we will extend it if they've signed a contract or they're struggling because it's now the holiday season, as it is here, and they're finding it difficult to find the next address to move on to. If we have the possibility to extend it, we will. But essentially 3 weeks.
So do new immigrants need a lot of support when they come here?
Many of them have support networks. Family nearby, family in the land, other friends who've made Aliyah, each other, if they come as a family. Some need more support than others, particularly single people and people who don't speak Hebrew or Russian. We're in Ashdod. Apparently 2/3 of the population of Ashdod speaks Russian. So that's helpful for most of the Olim, because most of the Olim come from Russia. But the few exceptions, we had a lady from the Netherlands, and it was a struggle for her because when she didn't speak Russian and she didn't speak Hebrew, she spoke to them. I mean, she's from the Netherlands. She probably speaks 4 or 5 languages already, but none of them include Russian or Hebrew. So in those cases, more support's needed, yeah. And we offer what support we can. Part of what we are here as a first place of welcome, yes, we want to support them, but we also want to encourage them to find their own support networks. So it's a fine balance.
I imagine there's a lot of different organizations that are here ready to support New Olim coming into the land.
Yes, most of them Hebrew and Russian speaking. This is where the difficulty can arise for people who, and will arise for anyone in a new situation. There are support networks, and part of that mysterious 2 hours at the airport is, I would anticipate, making them appointments at the Department of Immigration and so on, and putting them in touch with those support networks that can help them. But there's still a lot that's needed. It's as we've said, it's a scary situation. And if we can offer them anything, I mean, it's a welcome, it's a cup of tea, and we've made a big thing. We've made a thing of having tea some days in the afternoon where people are invited. A good English. That
sounds very, very, very British.
Solution to every problem, as the British know. And the Russians are pretty hot on tea as well. Usually they don't put milk in it, so we have to be careful that we don't put milk in first, because then you have to try again and give them lemon or something else. We try to be the welcome and support that we can. We don't have all the answers, but hopefully we can point them in the kinds of directions that are going to give them the answers they need.
When was Ebenezer Operation Exodus actually started?
Ebenezer was founded in the wake of a prayer conference in 1991 in Jerusalem, where there was a lot of prayer going on, particularly in the light of the fact that the first Gulf War was going on at the same time, and some of the sessions were spent wearing gas masks in sealed rooms. But there was a clear message received by first one individual and confirmed by others that God seemed to be saying, yes, in the midst of war and in the midst of a situation when the last thing that would have been on most human beings' minds was inviting more people to come to Israel, but God seemed to be saying, yes, now is the time. And so a Swiss businessman by the name of Gustav Scheller was the person who first kind of received that kind of message that now is the time. It was confirmed by others in the leadership of the conference. And he started finding ways of chartering planes and ships. He had no money. The organization had no money, but they believed God was calling, and God supplied the money to charter planes and ships to help the Jewish people come home. And so over the period of 10 or 12 years following that, hundreds of thousands, something in the region of 100,000 Jewish people were helped by Ebenezer to come back to Israel. Teams went out into Jewish communities, particularly in the former Soviet Union, encouraging the Jewish people. This is what your scriptures say. Your home is in Israel. If you want help going, we will help you to make applications. We will help pay for the documentation involved. And so Ebenezer grew, particularly, as I say, initially in the former Soviet Union, and it has since grown in many nations throughout the world. There are small Ebenezer teams, small Ebenezer offices, where that message is going out to the Jewish people and saying, if you want help, we're here to help you.
Does this feel like a biblical mandate to help the Jews return to Eretz Israel?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Bible seems to be very clear that God is going to gather his people in the land all the people, leaving none behind, and he's going to plant them in the land, never again to be uprooted. The scriptures are throughout the prophets in particular, though there are references elsewhere, to the return and the regathering of the people in the land of Israel.
Must feel exciting to be part of that biblical mandate.
Most of the time, I get up in the morning, and sorry to say, I don't have this sort of sense of, wow, who can I help to come home today? But, at the same time, we have the privilege in this house here of looking out over Ashdod port. And it's not infrequent that I look out over the port and over the horizon and the sea beyond and think, I wonder if there are any small boats, any large boats, any boats full of Olim coming home right now. And so far, I haven't seen any. But we're looking, and we have the privilege of being able to look out and anticipate what the Lord will do, even in Ashdod port itself, which is basically a container freight port rather than rather than having a passenger terminal. But yes, waiting for the phone call that tells me that the latest family of Olim are at the airport, they've landed, or that they're now in a taxi and they're on their way here. Most of those seem to be late at night. So there have been quite a few evenings where sort of 11 is the sort of anticipated time of arrival. And sometimes they've arrived after that because the process at the airport has taken longer. Or it's taken longer for the taxi driver to find us. We are hugely privileged to be involved and part of what God is doing.
Colin talked about the port. During the 12-day war with Iran, we were driving past the port and we saw quite a large number of Israelis who had been on ships with all their cases, getting ready, getting into cars, getting into taxis, some going on buses. And they had opened the port to passengers. Normally, it's, as Colin said, it's not a passenger terminal there. But we have a sense that in the future, Ashdod port itself will become an entry point for many Olim coming into Israel. So we're excited to anticipate that. And as Colin mentioned, those ships, the ships of Tarshish, coming to this land.
So strategically placed?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we also have the Haifa house up in Haifa, which has been going for much longer. And that's not far from Haifa port.
Mm. And the kettle is always ready to be turned on.
That sounds good. So I imagine when new immigrants come, there's a time to learn a new language, find employment, find a house, settle your kids into school. It can be quite a scary time, can't it? And this is giving them time to be able to develop and do all that.
This gives them a little time. They need, first of all, to find their next address. And those other requirements, yes, I'm not quite sure that after 25 years, I'm entirely settled in the land. But it takes time for those things to be completed. Learning the language, I certainly haven't done that thoroughly. There's plenty more Hebrew that I could be learning. But yes, huge challenges. And if we can just be a place of encouragement and alerting some of these new Olim to the fact that they don't actually have to accomplish everything by the end of the first weekend. And they can take time, and it will take time. But the rewards are there. The rewards of walking in God's promises will always be there.
Just want to share a little bit of the story of one of our more recent Olim from Russia. She was an art teacher in Russia, and she wants, obviously, to be able to teach art here. Now, that's not totally straightforward, as you can imagine. And also, she wanted to find a pleasant apartment to live in. Well, she looked at a lot of apartments at the price range she had planned, and she wasn't happy. Some of them really were not in a good condition, and certainly they didn't suit her expectations. So she has now returned to Russia to save up money for an apartment that she can afford. This, I'm sure is not unusual. We've had a lot of Russian Olim who've gone back and are planning to come again, but it's not straightforward. We had a wonderful experience, though, with this lady because she actually did an art masterclass for us here in the house. And we had a tremendous time with her, and we have promised that when she returns that she will be able to do some art classes in the house and start to build up her art teaching business. She also said it was the best time in her life that she'd been at the house. So that's a wonderful testimony of God's goodness.
She's also a keen volleyball player. And the closeness to the beach and the opportunity to join a kind of community of volleyball players was a great blessing for her.
Now, you left your country of England to come here. Was it easy for you to make Aliyah?
It's never easy. Rosie is not Jewish. She had a sense of calling to come to Israel a long time before I did and was ready, and I was willing to come, but I didn't have any clarity that this was where God was calling me or us to be. Eventually, I got the message, and when I got the message, it became obvious to us in the circumstance of life that we were at the time that we needed to come soon. And by that stage, it had become easier. I had a clear sense that God was calling me. Rosie has had that sense for something like 10 years already. And so we came with our 2 little boys and made Aliyah, settled in Israel, and have been here since. But no, it's not easy. And for these Russian Olim who go back with the intention of coming again, maybe with a definite plan, maybe with a vague plan. Maybe it's a sense of, well, if the going gets tough in Russia, then we've got somewhere we can go. But Israel is here. It's not easy making Aliyah, but when God calls, he opens doors, he provides. We've had many senses of God's provision over the years that we've been here in Israel. God has been very gracious to us, very generous to us, very patient with us. And yeah, we're still here.
I guess because you've been through it, you've experienced this, you're in the best position to actually be able to help others who are coming in for the very first time and comfort them and help them and encourage them in their journey as well, because you've already experienced that, you know what it's like.
Yes, there are scriptures that say that we should be ready to bless as we ourselves have been blessed, or words to that effect. And that is a privilege for us. That is a responsibility for us, and a responsibility that we are privileged to carry.
Is Aliyah a difficult decision to make when someone makes that decision?
Moving to a new land, a new culture, a new language, new customs, new weather is always a difficult decision to make, I think. Yeah.
I think for all those who come, though, there is some sort of connection with their Jewish heritage, however small, because that's the reason that they're going to be allowed in by the state of Israel. And so I think that can grow and develop as they spend time in the land. And hopefully also we can encourage that here in the house. For example, we've had evenings where we will sing Israeli songs and we celebrate the festivals here in the house. So, for example, we're going to have a sukkah put up in our backyard garden for the festival of the Feast of Tabernacles coming up very soon.
Do you think more and more Jews will be making Aliyah with the current climate that is there in Europe at the moment? Are you expecting a bigger influx?
Yeah, I'm looking out over the sea pretty much every day and wondering, are they coming yet? Are they coming yet? I'm sure that they are coming. The scriptures are clear that none will be left behind. That's a very big statement. Don't know exactly what it means, but yes, it's getting hotter, it's getting tougher for the Jewish people wherever they are in the world. And more they are feeling it, they are seeing it and taking appropriate action. And increasingly, there aren't other refuges for them. Increasingly, it's becoming plain that whereas perhaps in the past, Melbourne, Australia, or Los Angeles were safe havens and looked maybe more attractive to the Jews of the Soviet Union or Russia, Ukraine, than Israel did. Now those comparisons are disappearing, really, I think. And it's becoming clear with both particularly with the measure of communication and availability of information in the world, that everybody, Jewish communities pretty much everywhere, are feeling it.
Mm.
Yes, I think many Christians have had a burden to prepare for a time when Jewish people would no longer be safe in their home countries, to prepare in prayer, but also to prepare practically. People have been told by God to prepare their home, to hide Jews. And so I think there has been a big element of preparation going on for what will come.
What is your prayer today for Aliyah?
Prepare us, Lord, and move them. Help them to dislodge from their home communities before it's too late, before it's too difficult to travel, before travel highways get closed for whatever reason.
I think it's that we here in Israel will be ready to welcome the Jewish people with open arms, and that, not just Ebenezer, but the Jewish people in general will have that real desire to look after the new immigrants and help them, and not have any sort of expectation that just let them stand on their own 2 feet, but really welcome them and help them, show them the ropes.
Well, Colin and Rosie, thank you very much for sharing today.
Thank you, Paul. It's a privilege to be able to share these things. And it's been telling something of our story, because we've known you for many years of that walk. It's special to be able to share it in this kind of context and have other people joining in with our history and with where the Lord is working in Israel now.
Thank you for joining us today. Pray that God will move by his mighty power in the Holy Land and bring his peace.